don't think people can hear you.
They can't hear us yet. Hang on, let me fix that.
They can hear me.
They can hear
Okay,
you.
they can hear
They
us.
can hear us. Okay. Hey, we are live. It is Monday, the 8th of April. We are here to talk about video games. We were not live on Monday. I took the night off to go see On Cinema at the cinema, and it was fantastic. It was so good.
Absolute cinema, some might say.
It was absolute cinema, 100% absolute cinema, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Are you? Where does Tim Heidecker land on things that you find funny?
I think he is funny, but I don't think I've watched a lot of his stuff.
Okay.
I've seen some Tim and Eric. I've seen a little bit of Tom Goes to the Mayor. I would like to see more Tom Goes to the Mayor.
Tom Goes to the Mayor
But
is great.
I have not really dug into a bunch of his stuff. I don't generally love like super ridiculous crazy comedy. I like stuff that feels
You like
maybe
Tim Robinson, right?
Yeah, that's fair. But I feel like he strikes a bit of a balance of over the top craziness with like, oh, that's clever, or that works on a couple levels. And I think Heidecker does a similar thing.
His new stuff, solo stuff especially.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I should check it out.
Yeah, the On Cinema thing is a Patreon that they do. So like there's like seasons they put out. Anyway, he's done a whole, like he's actually had pretty good recognition as a musician too, which is crazy to think about. Like I saw him, he did a stand-up tour where he played like the persona of a bunch of different comedians. I would watch that. Like the No More Bullshit is probably more what you're looking for. But yeah, that is, I'm trying to like keep my audio going up here because my mic's shitting the bed and I'm waiting on a new microphone to get here. So apologies to the listeners. If I'm quiet, I've been quiet for a few weeks. But anyway, that was fun. That's why we weren't here Monday night. So thanks Chase for the flexibility. Had a good time being away, but tonight, finally, I feel like we haven't done this for a bit, is a what you've been playing. I think we actually missed out on a what you've been playing because we had one planned and then we came into a deep dive and then we went into a preview. So it's been a few weeks since we've just gotten to talk about.
Skip an episode at one point.
That's the one that we skipped. I
think
phone
was on fire. Yeah.
Yes. So tonight we're going to be covering a handful of things. Chase has been still flapping around in Monster Hunter Stories 3. I am still putzing around in Pokopia, and I've definitely turning a corner in Crimson Desert, but I've played a couple new games. And I've played those on my AYN Thor, so we'll talk a bit about what that thing looks like a few months in, and that's going to be the episode. How's that sound?
Sounds pretty good to me, other than being quiet.
I know. Well, good thing is you're loud enough for the both of us, so that will help out here. That's really loud. All right.
Yes, it is.
That's only going to be here for like a second, so enjoy it while you can. There we go. Going back down. Chase, Crimson Desert, they've put out 2 patches. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because I'm still kind of like finding my footing with it, but I will tell you, like when I'm sitting down in front of my computer, this is the game I've probably played the most right now. And they've made some pretty strong improvements based directly on community feedback. And Pearl Abyss, I will give them credit there because this game came in very hot. They immediately started getting to work on it, and every patch they've put out has been profoundly better for how that game feels, plays, systems in the game, etc. I'm having a pretty good time just exploring and finding weird and wild shit. It's a very bizarre game. I still don't know like how hot I will get on it comparatively to the market, but general sentiment, review scores for that game have been going back up based off of what people are saying and seeing there with it. So Crimson Desert continues to be a profound, weird thing. Copia continues to be a really cool...
Back to Crimson Desert real quick. Do you have any desire on going to try any of their previous work that's like the more gacha shit?
No. Like that's the weird thing is that this is what this game started out to be. Yeah. We talked about that when I first brought it up. So like I could see what they were going for with it, but I get really cool. I'm like, I like gacha games that for like 30 minutes. I'm like, you're going to do something unique. And I like that. And you're going to maintain this, right? You're not going to become a gotcha bitch, right? Mm-hmm. And then they become a gotcha bitch. And I'm like, no, thank you. But this feels way more of just like an isolated, I'm having my world, my fun, my power trip with it. I don't want to mix that up with anything. I would probably play Warframe before I would do anything like that.
Sure.
So yeah, it's cool. Like, it's a gorgeous game. I'm glad that they're working on it. We're getting ready to have some stuff I'm very excited about come out. So like, we'll see how much longer I'm like putting up with some of those things, but I bet that game is going to get really good a year from now. I bet it's pretty damn spectacular a year from now. But there's two things I'm playing right now that are both old, but new to me and new to everybody.
New to you, yeah.
Well, one of them's new to everybody.
Okay.
But there's a game called Islets, and I think I either told you to check this out like when we were wrapping up the stream, but what I've been doing is trying to find games that I feel are like perfect for the Thor, like things that I can play on my computer that feel, when I say like, hey, this feels like a game you should play on the go, or a mobile game, you kind of know what I'm going for. Not like an iPhone game or anything like that, but a handheld game. And Islets came out a couple years ago. Let me pull up my note on it here. This is put out by Kyle Thompson. It came out August 24th, 2022. I've had it on my wish list for a very long time. Recently, there was the spring sale happening for Steam. And I was like, I can get this game for a couple bucks. It's been like an overwhelmingly positive for a little indie game for a long time. It's got like, I don't know, almost 1,700 reviews. It'll set you back for PC, $20. I think it's on the Switch for the same amount of money. It is a Metroidvania. I've read that you can beat it in 7 hours. 7 to 10 hours is kind of the target for it, which I think is very palatable for a game like this. It's so fucking good. Like, I am sitting here playing this thing flawlessly, natively on the Thor via Game Hub. It's running well above 60 frames a second. The fan's barely kicking on. It feels designed and native for this device. And the cool thing about this from a Metroidvania perspective is that you get a really great map at the beginning of the game for the outer world, and then there's a bunch of islands that you're going into, but the islands were all held together by this cat's invention of putting these magnet cores in the islands. And they were all together for a very long period of time, and then something corrupted the magnets, and like these beasts and creatures showed up. The magnets stopped functioning, and now all of the islands are like scattered across the sky. And you have this really cool little wooden plane that you can do some upgrades to, that you are just like flying around trying to go island to island. And when you get to the boss of that island, it reactivates the magnetic core. And now that I've got two of those activated, the maps have merged together. And so I've now like got this really cool Metroidvania map that I'm building in real time by beating these bosses. And it's almost like the Zelda element of like, I'm going to go to this island, I'm going to learn this ability, and that's going to help me navigate through it. Kind of like, I got the hook shot here, which I didn't get the hook shot, but I can climb up a wall, or I can double jump now. And that's really cool for this. I got an invincibility eye roll that I can do. Bosses are doing more like bullet hell-esque, but nothing nearly as punitive like Housemark or any of that. Not
sure.
Housemark, but you know what I'm saying, right? Housemark?
Yeah. Yeah, Housemark.
It looks hand-drawn. The soundtrack, I think, was made by the brother of the developer and designer for it. I am like floored that this is a game that people don't talk about like in the same breath of like Hollow Knights and things of that nature. It feels so fucking competent and confident.
And this came out this year?
2022.
Oh, 2022. Okay.
So it's been out for,
it's kind of old.
It's kind of old. You can find it on sale often. It's the attacking is really cool. It's kind of got Vampire Survivor upgrades too. So like when you go and find an upgrade in the world, it gives you 3 choices in like the form of a card. Like one would be, hey, your arrows fire faster, or on your 3rd hit of a combo, you'll do more damage, and you get these like permanent upgrades on your character that way. The writing's really good. I love the character designs and how they interact with your character. There's one persistent asshole that is just always where you don't want him to be. And I've had a lot of fun with that for sure. So Islets, it's been out for a few years now. I know it's on Switch. I know it's on Steam. I'm playing this again via Game Hub, which is it's kind of like using Wine and other things to play PC games on Android devices. So I'm playing it that way via the Thor. The cool thing I'll call out, if anybody's curious, it's a free app. There's another one called Game Native that you can get. these interface with your Steam account. I like GameHub because it ties into the Epic Store, Amazon Store, and Good Old Games. And so if you have any games purchased across there, you can just download them from those outlets, and it does all the cloud syncing. So if I play this on my PC, I grab my Thor, I have an internet connection, I open the game up, it automatically syncs my progress between where I was playing that, which is really fucking cool. So
Now, when you're playing a game like that on a Thor, like this is a PC game, and most, if not all, PC games. I'm not a PC gamer, so you can correct me if I'm wrong. Those games will default to keyboard and mouse, but you are
yep.
playing this on a device that has no keyboard and has a touchscreen, which I guess is kind of like a mouse, but not exactly the same. Now, this game has full controller support. So when you are playing a game like this on your Thor, does it just load up and it automatically has configured
Yeah.
itself to controller support?
So you got to think, man, like the Steam Deck really changed a lot of that. But even before, like when I've been playing on PC since 2020, February of 2020 is when I switched over. And I have a 8BitDo controller that's on a dock here, and as soon as I lift it off the dock, it turns on and connects to my computer. If I'm playing a game with mouse and keyboard and I get tired and I want to lean back, I just reach over and grab my controller, and it's instantaneous, like on most PC games.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it was at the very least, it was not instantaneous when I was playing Iron Brigade for and to be fair, that's a
Correct.
pretty old Steam game at
Yes.
that point. So maybe
Yes.
it's different for something else. But that was when I did that series for Chase K Plays. It was a lot of fuck. I gotta like turn off Steam, turn Steam back on, like
Well,
open the game while the controller's out, or oh no, maybe I should take the
I
controller
will
out
tell
later.
you,
Ugh.
every year since I've had a PC, I've been averaging on Steam when they do their end of year wrap up. I'm like between 160 to 180 new games that I play every year. And I have maybe had one issue where I had a different keyboard at the time that had a different type of keystroke where it was being recognized as a game controller. And so my video game controller would not be recognized as the first input. That was a whole can of worms. But to answer your question more directly, now where things are at, you use this game native app, it literally plays it flawlessly. I'm also using a front end on the Thor called Cocoon that I will stand for all day long. It's I think the best one out there. But they just did a recent update to 2.2, and they introduced something called Flutterkey, which is a native app within this front end, and it turns the bottom screen into a mouse pad. So if you have a stylus and there's a game like maybe you're doing like a deck builder, like let's say you're playing mouse and keyboard input for Slay the Spire, you would just be using the trackpad on the bottom screen while you're looking at your top screen to like move the mouse around. It doesn't feel too different than like Metroid Hunters does, like the way that you would like aim and shoot, or like Kid Icarus.
Yeah.
But there's solutions out there to give you straight up mouse input if you want that. But every time I've gone to play one of these games, I'm downloading games that I know are going to give me the best experience here. There's just like, I know if a game's compatible. That's the other thing. Like these apps have an interface where it's like this game has been tested and it is compatible. So when it looks at your library, there'll be green check marks on games that should work on the device. And there's also a setting that you can go in per game. And like if I wanted to, I could go in and say like, hey, I want this game to not run at 1920 because it's a bit more graphically intense. I want you to run this at 1280. And I can make that a per game setting. I could also go in and say, this game needs to use OpenGL as a graphics driver. And I'm getting hyper specific just to kind of tell you what you can do here. But I could also go in per game and say, just check a box, use known good configuration. So if somebody has your device that has successfully ran the game, it knows that's the configuration to tune your device into, and you just check that box and you play the game. Like that is probably the easiest for what you're looking for.
Sure.
If you try to load a game, it doesn't work, go down, hit known good driver, and it works great. Like the next game I'm going to talk about is I have not played it anywhere. I bought it on the Steam app via Android, which is connected to my account. So I had that there. I just immediately bought it on that app, went over, opened the game native app. My library had it there. I hit download. Seconds later, it's added into the front end system of Cocoon that I'm using. And I did all of that within 2 minutes on my Thor with a Wi-Fi connection, which is really fucking cool. So I bought the game. The next game I'll talk about is the one that is new for most people, but it's not necessarily a new game, and that is Ratcheteer DX. This is the...
Yeah. All right. Now we're fucking talking.
Dude, Chase, listen to me good here, my man.
I'm listening.
You need to get this game.
I already own this game.
Perfect. It runs like a fucking gem on the Thor, but what is really blowing my mind every time I play it is the pixel graphics at 16:9 on an OLED screen. Mm-hmm. Like, it looks like the screen's turned off and you just have these bright, vivid colors that like pop off of it when you're playing it. Like, it feels so weird to have something that feels ancient, but also appears to be so modern. In a really
My
cool...
version does not have vivid colors.
Are you playing on the Playdate?
I'm not playing it. I have it on the Playdate. We all have it on our Playdate.
Yeah. I'm playing... Well, you don't have Ratcheteer DX. You just have Ratcheteer.
That's correct. Clear. Yes. I only have the original game. But yes, so, this was originally a Playdate game, and the developer... I don't think it's that it was bad on the Playdate.
No.
But that is a very, restrictive boutique console that only so many people have. So releasing that game in other formats it's not only on Steam though, right? We talked about this in the preview. It's on the Switch, I think.
Yes, I think this is actually like on quite a bit.
Yeah.
I just had the Steam page pulled up really quick.
So like that's a cool way of, at least starting with some exclusivity, finding its footing, and now making like an upgraded version for these other platforms. That's a pretty cool idea.
Steam, Switch, the Mac App Store, and itch.io. I think the itch version might be the Playdate version. Maybe it's... Oh, no, this is the DX page. I'm sorry. It's this version. All right. So now that we got that out of the way, they did do a color enhancement on it. This is really good looking pixel art. It's very like original Zelda is what I would say. Like,
it's very Link's Awakening and then Link's Awakening DX.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. This seems like a very bite-sized experiment. Like, this is a game that I think is like 4 to 6 hours, if that. Like, that's on the long side of it, I'm pretty sure. But it doesn't really hold your hand in the way like old Nintendo games didn't. You're just tossed in here and you talk to a few people and they're like, you need to find the power plant. One of the cool things about the game that I don't think I realized is a lot of the game's dark and your character has to have a lantern.
Yeah, honestly, that's like something that really turned me off on the game. Seeing it in trailers and seeing how much it's about darkness, and it kind of just feels like the whole game is if you're going through Rock Tunnel in Pokemon. And I'll tell you, I don't like Rock Tunnel. It's not my favorite place to be. So that's kind of the one hang up I have about this game, because everything else looks really good. How has the darkness light mechanic it's worked for you?
It's not been a big issue, because like the overworld, like the area that you're in, it's bright. But then the first part you have, like, you basically go to the power plant, you turn power on, and then everything's lit up. So like I think the light mechanic visually looks really cool, and there's still like, it's neat. Like, some enemies will freeze when they're in light. So like you have to use it as a puzzling, because it's like an intersection, and there's enemies that are moving underground when it's dark, but when you put your lantern on them, a mole will pop out. So you can see the mole's movement, and it's just doing a pattern of like back and forth in like 3-step. And so it's like, okay, I know it's on the other side of the intersection, so I'm going to shine my light. That's going to allow me to go up above its path. I'm going to wait for it, like turn my light off. It's going to go to the right, turn the light on. It's stuck there, and then I'm going to cross through. So like they puzzle, like use it as a puzzle mechanic, which is cool. But I've beaten the first boss. I'm on the second boss, and I like legit don't know how to damage it, which is frustrating. But the boss fights are really cool. I just got the jump ability, which is a strange thing to get. So I can jump now, and the boss like is doing their jumping and they're landing and doing like big seismic waves that you have to jump over and time that out.
Yeah.
but
I
it's
mean,
cool.
Zelda also, like Link's Awakening, has the Roc's Feather that
Yeah,
like that is essentially getting you a jump in the same
correct.
way. So that's, that makes some sense to me.
Well, this is just like you can jump now. It's not like you got an ability for it. But
Oh, okay. Well,
the other thing you have
interesting.
is a ratchet or a wrench. You have a single attack, or you can do a spin attack. A spin attack is like how you're turning screws in some of these environments. And like if I turn the screw, it would turn a walkway. Cool. I can now go up here. I'll do that. It's neat. It's a really cool game. It feels so good to be playing on the Thor. It's like this was made for this. I'm like, really? It's made for the Playdate. But
Yeah. I
having
do
that big,
wonder. I would kind of. I'm interested in going back and trying it on the Playdate just to see what the crank part does.
I'm actually charging my Playdate right now, and it's been charging for a while and not turning on. So I'm hoping that this thing's not like dead.
Yeah.
But I was gonna actually do that tonight and talk
Well,
through it.
remember when we first got them, it took forever to charge up to the
I
point where we
know.
could play them in the first place. So
I
maybe
know.
maybe that's the case.
But I'm really excited for you because you got a Steam Deck, you didn't love it, and that's fair. I understand that. I was hoping that would be kind of your vessel into some of these like cheaper, like really cool PC games, but maybe the Thor is that for you. And I will tell you
It could be. I don't know. I don't know if we've talked about it. I know we've talked about it on a casual Monday or something. I don't know if we talked about it on the main show, but I did end up getting a Thor. Just thinking, I think the thing that really sold me on it is video games are fucking expensive these days,
they
and they're only
are.
getting more expensive. Consoles are going up when normally consoles go down. Like games, we're heading for some kind of crash at some point.
Yep.
So what if I future proofed myself by having this thing that can go play all these old games and I can have it in one place? I've got my analog pocket that can do a lot of this stuff, but there are some consoles like the DS and 3DS that I just don't have a device for,
Yeah.
and outside of those original systems. And while I like playing those original systems, it's kind of nice to have it all in one place. And also when it comes to like disc based stuff like the PS1, I don't really have good ways of playing those outside of just
Yeah.
playing them directly on my laptop. And when I do that, it's like a mess of cables to make that stuff work. So I figured the Thor was going to be a nicer way of doing that. I don't know how much I'm interested in playing a bunch of um, new games is the wrong word, but a bunch of more like modern games and like Steam stuff. I think I'm a little less interested in that, but I'm certainly willing to give it a shot. And I'll put Balatro on it. I'll
Well,
fuck. Let's
yeah, you
go.
fool.
Let's make it happen.
Here, give me a few minutes to talk about that. So
Okay.
I'm coming up on like 2 months with this device, and I'm looking over here on my handhelds. I've got the Pocket, I've got the the Playdate, I've got the ROG Ally X, I've got a PS Portal, I've got a really nice controller for my phone. So like I got a lot of stuff that like I can take
Do you
with
have a
me.
lot of stuff? Nobody can deny that.
What I will tell you is that I don't think I have found a device that has excited me like this since I've built my PC. And this has quickly become like my everyday carry, which I've talked about. But the more I've played with it, one of the things that like, even on the like Pocket, which I played, and then you and Johnny had got me a handheld a couple years ago that I could play
Yeah.
some emulation on. I think it was a Retroid, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
I realized that there was like such an influential period of time from like 98 to 2004 when I was in high school and the games I was playing with my friends that we've talked about and like we've looked in magazines, but it's been a long time since I heard those game sounds. It's been a long time
Sure.
since I've seen those startup screens. And I kind of like skipped over the nostalgia for that period because I went right into the 360 era, which I feel was like such a formative period for me. And then I went into like more adulthood with the Switch and stuff. I think the Thor has been one of the like saviors for the B game in a really cool way, because there's a lot of bullshit stuff I played back then that I don't have a desire to like chase down, or I don't have the physical ability to play this. I've moved on from having retro consoles. I just don't have the space
Sure, or
for
you're
it.
not going to pay the $20 it costs
Right.
on Steam or on
Correct.
PSN to go play that game. But if you could just emulate it,
Correct.
maybe you will give it a shot.
But there's something really cool to know that, and you talked about this on like a future proofing. Up like right now, emulation. We're not, like there's another conversation to have with this, but I will just say like emulation, especially on Android, you kind of get to the Vita is really in a rough state, and PS3 is in a rough state, and there's not a great way to do 360. So you've got like the Thor can emulate up to the Switch, but knowing that I have a device that can play DS in the form factor, 3DS in the form factor, knowing that I can play PS2, like it plays PS2 games so good. Like it's so good at PS2. So I've got PS2, PSP, PS1. I've got the Nintendo consoles on there. It truly does feel like the definitive device. And to know that I can play these really cool indie games that are coming out with very little like degradation compared to some of the other devices or computer that I have here is very exciting to me. And to know that I have the ability to continue playing things that I might be playing here, whether it's through the cloud or natively on this device, it kind of blows my mind because I can do I can have emulation station if I want to on my ROG. You can put those on the Steam Deck. But again, like you can only go so far with it. It can only play so many of those. And knowing that you're going to get a device that can continually play all those cool games, but then opens up all these community things that are happening with it. This is, I think, one of the coolest pieces of like gaming console I've owned. I would still tell people I think the Switch is probably like the best for most people.
Sure, it's the most simple.
Yeah.
Like you just have a thing and it feels good and it's easy to use, and that's not a problem. But like the Thor, yes, we bought you a Retroid a long time ago, and I had a Retroid as well, and I hated it. I hated that thing.
Yep.
It felt clunky. It didn't. It felt clunky not only in like messing with the software, but also just touching the thing. It's like this doesn't feel good. These triggers don't feel good. These buttons don't feel good. The plastic on this stuff doesn't feel good. And then a device like the Analog Pocket comes out, and it's not made for emulation. People had to go and jailbreak that and add that on later. So it does what it's supposed to do extremely well, which is play your old cartridges. And then now that people have broken it or gotten the FPGA stuff on it, like have been able to use that in lots of other ways, and it works fine for that, but it wasn't designed for it. So from a software standpoint, it doesn't feel the best to dig around that stuff, to like go through a bunch of folders to go find your games. It doesn't have like a nice presentation or front end like you're talking about with Cocoon. But the Thor feels like it is just kind of the best of both worlds at that point, where this is a really nice quality feeling piece of hardware that they got all that stuff more or less correct on. And also it's a machine that was built with this kind of emulation stuff in mind. Like the reason you buy a device like this, the reason they made a device like this is to play a lot of these old games on. And so people are thinking about those front ends. And now when you have those things coming together, you have a lot of people who are working towards making this thing the best thing it can be. And it is just having that moment. And I completely understand where a system like this is catching you, where, a Retroid or an Analog Pocket or even, a Steam Deck or an ROG Ally, which are kind of a different beast altogether, but they do feed into this at least. Like this thing feels like it's the best of all those different worlds into one singular device.
I mean, right now, 2 months into it, if you're like, hey, you can't play anything else, you can play one thing, like I probably would just grab this thing, to be very frank with you. Just giving that, like, everything that makes me love video games is on this thing right now, which is really cool. The other thing that I've really enjoyed with it, and I'm learning a lot about ROMs and just like emulation, and I'm learning a lot about Android in that sense, but I've found so much joy in going in and kind of remastering these games. Like I've found a lot of communities where I'm able to patch in like 60 frame support. I'm able to patch in HD textures on these games, making most things 16:9 widescreen. Like I'm playing through Mario Golf from the GameCube right now, Toadstool Tour, and it's like HD graphics, widescreen, high frame rate. And that's like the best Mario, like it's one of the best Mario Golf games, if not the best. I know you like Game Boy Color one, but like this is still Camelot, still a really kick-ass one. But there's other games that like I didn't even fucking know about, dude, that like I've just been on forums. People are like, hey, if you're going to play a game from this generation, like you need to be playing Jane Dark. I'm like, okay, I'll check this thing out.
And you can play Cubivore right now.
Dude, I just downloaded Ever Oasis before this. I got Rune Factory 4 I just downloaded. So like,
oh my God, look at him, ladies and gentlemen. This is my friend right here.
This is your friend right here. But
I never thought I'd see the day.
I'm having so like to the point where like we'll talk. I'll bring it up here and we'll have to talk offline about it. I kind of want to start doing something with this with you. Like I kind of want to start figuring out a way to like talk about some of these games through these experiences shared, you know, like
yeah, if there was some sort of like circular device that you could spin to figure out like what game to I wonder if anyone's thought of that.
But I also think that there's some ways for you and I to like, I know you've talked about Chasey K Plays. I think there's probably something we could look at. Like this is far reaching, but there is a way that you and I could, when you get your Thor, we could stream on here playing through a multiplayer setting Mario Kart 7.
Yeah,
this
that'd be
like
interesting.
There's some crazy shit. So like I think there's going to be something fun there with it. I'm so excited for you to get it for you. I've been like trying to keep notes for you and work. Like I'm so
Bobby's been more excited for me to get this than I have been excited to get this, and I'm pretty excited to get it. But like Bobby's like, hey, what's your order number again? I need to check your batch number. Like when I need to see when your thing's coming. It's like it'll get here when it gets here, maybe. But I'm excited that you're excited. I think this will be a really cool thing.
It's one of my favorite things. So I'm excited for you to get it. And I'm excited to hear about your Monster Hunter Stories journey. I'm excited for myself to get back to it. I have not touched it really since we streamed it. So
yeah, I've very much passed you up at this point, which I was surprised. But you've obviously been playing a billion other video games, and I've really only been playing this.
Wow, that's the way it should be. What do you like have before you get into your stories of experience so far? I would say that I wouldn't say you were middling with it the last time we talked, but I would say that it was definitely not your favorite Monster Hunter Stories game. Yeah. And you were bumping into friction a little bit more with this than other ones. Has any of that changed for you?
I wouldn't say it's necessarily changed. I still have some reservations when it comes to this game. I still don't think it's the best version of Monster Hunter that we've had, or Monster Hunter Stories that we've had, or rather that I've had. But I think a lot of what they're doing makes sense and is probably exciting for people who like more traditional Monster Hunter games than me, because I don't like those games. But I've loved Monster Hunter Stories, and Monster Hunter Stories has over time become a little less about the Monster Hunter Stories RPG that they started with and a little bit more like traditional Monster Hunter. So it's getting slightly away from where I want it to be, but it still does have a lot of that DNA. Anyway, the last session I played was really interesting to me and kind of profound in a way that the rest of the game has not felt for me. And it was something that, I felt a little bad, like week after week, I'm just talking about Monster Hunter Stories because it's the only thing I'm playing. But this felt...
It's a big game. I mean, these are like 100-hour games, right?
Yeah, it's a healthy game. I don't know. You could certainly put 100 hours into it if you wanted to do all the end game stuff, but I don't think it's quite 100 hours on its own. But I found this experience the last time I played pretty interesting. So I want to tell you, Bobby, about the story of the Devilhoe. Oh. Bobby, are you familiar with the monster Devilhoe from Monster Hunter?
I like to call it Devilhoe.
It's a classic
it's
monster.
It's a big fucking pickle.
Yeah, he's a big fucking T-Rex
He sucks.
with like a giant Jay Leno chin that is covered in spikes.
Yeah, he sucks.
He is
He's
mean, he is
yes,
mad.
he's
He's a
fun to
big dude.
fight. He fucking sucks though.
I'll tell you, and he's been in Monster Hunter Stories before. I
Mm-hmm.
think he's been in all of them so far. When you're in the second area, which is the Canalta Timberland,
Mm-hmm.
and I found out there's actually 4 areas. I'm in the third area right now, but there's a second
I'm
in
in
the
the
second
second
area that you
area.
go to. That's the area that you just got to, yeah, that we
Yep.
did on our casual
Yep.
Monday. So in that second area, I don't know if he's there from the very beginning, but at some point, a Devilhoe shows up in the wild, and he's always in the same place. He's like right next to this little village area, and the Monster Hunter Stories has a little system where it puts a little indicator above a monster. You know, if there's no indicator, you're the right level for it, or maybe even over leveled for it. If it's, I think it's like if it's 5 levels above you, it's an orange or a yellowy orange symbol, and then if it's higher than that, it's a red symbol. Basically, it says if it's a red symbol, you don't want to fucking
Yeah,
fight this
don't
thing.
fucking
It
touch
will
it.
murder you.
Correct.
And when I was in that second area, I thought, well, you know, I can fight everything else in this area, so I'm probably strong enough to fight this Devilhoe that I've seen. And also, it's a Devilhoe. I think that's fucking awesome. I want to fight this monster. I want to be able to, you know, get its parts, get its eggs, so I can have a Devilhoe on my own party, and so I can have Devilhoe equipment. That'll be really cool. So I fought this thing once. This was when I was, you know, in the first time in that
What?
second area.
I'm sorry. Did you say what its color was when you approached it?
The indicator was red.
Okay.
Yeah. So like even after I fought and defeated basically
Yeah.
everything else in this section,
It's
this
still
one was
red.
still red. But
Yep.
I'm like, well, you know, how strong is it really? And Bobby, I didn't actually do this when it first showed up in the first area, but that Elder Dragon fight
Oh
that you
yeah.
talk about, like you
Yep.
actually just ran into that hurricane and
Yep.
fought that Elder Dragon
Sure
and got
did.
wiped
Well,
immediately.
I didn't fight it. I saw it. There was no fight.
Yeah, I didn't do that, so I haven't had that experience in this
Okay.
game yet. I just kind of skipped by, and I haven't
Yeah.
gone back to go see it yet. So this is my first experience of like, okay, this is like a hard fight, but you know, I should be fine, right? I was not fine.
No.
It absolutely decimated me
Yep.
in only a couple turns. It had like a big dragon blast that was a big sweep effect that took out my monstie, me, my partner, and my partner's monstie all at once. So it took out a bunch of our hearts, and then it took the rest of our hearts on the next attack. We were not ready.
No.
So I went, okay, fine. This is like a later game thing. I'll leave it alone. So I went and I continued the story. I got to the third area. I've done a lot of the stuff in the third area. I haven't quite finished it to get to the fourth area. By the way, some really cool stuff happens in the third area where you see a returning character from Monster Hunter Stories 2. And I was like, oh, that's cool.
Wait, these are at the same timeline?
They are in the same timeline, yes.
Huh.
Yeah. I didn't know that either.
This
so that
feels.
cool.
I would say this is more like prequel territory, like based off of the high fantasy
It
stuff.
seems like it, but this is absolutely a sequel.
Or is this an isekai?
It's not an isekai.
Oh. I got to use the one card I have. I'm sorry.
Anyway, so now that I'm in this third area and I've gained maybe 20 levels at this point, I'm like level 53, where I was in the 20s or something beforehand. Now I was like, okay, let's maybe try this again. Let's see. I should be able to be all right on this one. So I went up to it and it still had the red indicator and it still beat the shit out of me. But this time when it beat the shit out of me, I was at least doing more damage.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm kind of close. I feel like I'm kind of close. All it would take is like a couple things going my way, maybe, or maybe if I played more skillfully, or if it just didn't use that big spread move, maybe I'd be all right. And so for the first time in this game, and I think the first time in any of these Monster Hunter Stories games, I looked at my equipment and I went into the Monsterpedia, and I feel like I was playing the game for the first time, where you go into the Monsterpedia and you see, okay, Devilhoe, because I fought this one before, it has an entry in it. It is a power type. It is a dragon type, so it's going to
Mm-hmm.
fight with its dragon element. I need stuff that resists dragon. Okay, I need to think about that. And whatever its elemental weakness is, well, its elemental weakness to dragon as well. So if you do dragon attacks to it, that'll do more. It's also
Mm-hmm.
really weak to electric attacks, lightning
Mm-hmm.
attacks. Like, okay, cool. Well, I don't have any dragon shit because dragon shit doesn't come up until later in the game. But what I do have is a lot of lightning stuff. So I went and I crafted some lightning stuff. I had, let's see here. I went to the game allows you to change a bunch of equipment stuff. It actually has equipment sets,
Yep.
and I had never made an equipment set in this game before. But now I was like, okay, I can make a full set, and I named it Devil Joe, and I misspelled Devil Joe on
Was it
purpose.
Devilhoe?
No, it was Devil Joe. It's like
Oh,
his name is Joe
yeah. This
instead
is
of J
it's
H
not
O.
the devil you Joe. It's the devil you Joe. No.
Exactly. So after looking at the Monsterpedia, seeing that it attacks with the dragon element, seeing that it's weak to dragon and
God, he's
lightning, I
making
went,
me so
okay,
proud.
I'm gonna craft some lightning shit. I crafted a level 2 spark slicer from a Toby Kadachi. I got a level 2 bleeding bopper from a red Kezu. I made a level 2 red generator. Well, actually, I
So
already
a
had the
katana
level
and a
2 red
hammer,
generator.
right?
Do what?
Like a long sword and a hammer
Oh
so
yeah,
far.
a katana, a hammer,
Yep.
and then this last one is a gun lance,
Yep.
also from the red Kezu. All of those had lightning elements to them. It's like, all right, I've got that shit. I maxed out my is it Nersilia armor? Nersilla armor, the
Yep. The
spider guy.
spider. Yep.
Yeah, so I maxed out that armor, which has a dragon resistance, and
Mm-hmm.
then I also had the decoration. The decoration is kind of like a thing that you can
Yeah, you
slot
did.
into your armor, and I had upgraded the decoration, so I had a dragon resist boost charm, and I put that into the armor. So I had all this stuff perfected on my character. Uh, and then, even though this stuff is like weaker than my normal shit, it does less damage. It's not as good of armor, but it is perfectly made for this kind of a fight. I was like, all right, well let's give this a shot. This is the best thing I can have. I also switched out my battle ally. You know, we both were using Best Girl Cora, who remains the best
Easily
girl for
best
sure.
girl
But
with a bow.
Cora has a fire weapon and has a
Mm-hmm.
Monstie that also has the fire element, which are both resisted by the Devilhoe. So not very useful, even though I think she is still a really great character.
Oh yeah.
And not only a great character, but a great mechanical character as an ally too, because when she uses the gun lance, she can guard damage and still do stuff, and she taunts, so she takes a lot of the pressure off of you, a lot of the aggro off of you, so you can do your moves. She's fucking fantastic. But in this instance, she wasn't doing enough, especially when she'd guard or taunt, and then the Devilhoe would just use the Dragon Blast and hit all of us anyway. And I was like, fuck, that's Corey, you're not quite doing the job here.
Yep.
So I switched back to your original partner, who is Thea,
Yeah.
who's the young girl, because she has both a Toby Kadachi, who is a lightning element Monstie, but then she also uses a bow that had the lightning element on it.
Cool.
Like, all right, cool. So now I've got a lightning element Monstie, a lightning element partner. All my shit is lightning element with the dragon resist stuff now too. And while I didn't have a Monstie that was leveled up who had the electric element, I at least had I think my Dread Green Rathian has a dragon resistance.
It does.
But like one of my guys had a dragon resistance. It's like, okay, that's great. And then I also was able to use the gene splicing stuff and to give them an electric attack, an electric speed attack, because again, the Devilhoe is a power guy, so the speed attack will be able to counter that pretty well. And then having that lightning element on it, so at least it had a lightning element ability, even though it itself was not a lightning element. So now that I had prepared all of this stuff, I went, okay, it's time to try this out again. And I built it as a whole set, so now I can go back to it whenever I need to. And so I went back, and with my new gear, my new team, I confronted the Devilhoe, and it was a really tough battle. You know, it felt like everything that I brought in was useful. You know, I was using the right attacks at the right time. The attacks that he was doing that would down everybody would now get me down really low, but I could at least heal from it. I
Sure.
was living through some of these attacks now. I was using the thunder traps, or I was using traps for the first time, and negating some of his attacks occasionally. I was using the double attacks whenever I could, because I knew he was a power guy, and then
Oh
I
yeah.
think he switches to a speed guy when he's angry, so I was able
Yep.
to flip those out when I needed to. I was able to hit him with the right stuns, like break the pieces that get you a stun, and you wait to do that at the right turn when I could see that he was about to do his big area of effect attack. I was like, okay, now's the time where I stun him. So all of these things were working in concert. And even the last thing is, when you get your kinship gauge to its max, you can ride on your monster. I even staggered the attacks, because your partner does it too. So I staggered the attacks where my partner did their Monstie attack, which negates the enemy's attack,
Sure.
and you get a couple free attacks. And then I used mine where it's also negated the monster's attack, and then Thea got in a couple of attacks. So all of those things combined, still a really long, hard fight, but I defeated the Devilhoe.
Fuck
And
yeah.
not only did I defeat the Devilhoe, I was rewarded by the Devilhoe retreating to its lair.
You get double
So I was
eggs.
able to go in, and it had double eggs. So I was able to
Fuck
grab
yeah.
two eggs, and then because of this game that added in this habitat restoration stuff, I was able to put the Devilhoes the baby
Yeah.
Devilhoes that I got. I put them into one of the habitats that give you like a boost to their HP. And then also, if you leveled them up to S, it gives you lightning element Devilhoes. So I was then able to grind that area to go find Devilhoes now that they've been added to the area, find more eggs, and then habitat restoration up it to rank S. So now I'm getting the really good ones with really good abilities. And now I've got a lightning element Devilhoe that's even more green, even more pickled than the last one was. And now he's my new friend, and he's amazing. And it's the first time where I felt like I really engaged with what Monster Hunter is, with like what
Dude.
traditional Monster Hunter is. The idea of grabbing this kind of stuff, knowing the elemental weaknesses that I need to exploit, or the elemental resistances that I needed to grab, and just figuring out how do I counter every little thing, instead of just, oh, this is the highest number, I guess I'll grab that, or oh, I need a spread of different monsties with different elements. Like when I play Pokemon, you always get like a team that has a bunch of coverage, so
Yeah.
you're ready for anything. But now I'm making a gear set that was specifically laser targeted to a single thing, and the plan went beautifully.
I love hearing this.
Mm-hmm.
They added, like, Deviljoe was a big addition to Monster Hunter Worlds when that game was out.
Sure.
And when that dropped, I got rocked the first time. And I was pretty fucking cocky, because like that game had been out for a long time and my character was big. The reason I bring this up to you is I'm like, okay, I need to figure out how to beat this thing. I read the Monsterpedia. It's like, okay, I need this gear. I looked on the map. I went out. I hunted it. I got the gear. I built a set named Devilhoe, just like you did. And so everything that you were just explaining in your story, I'm like, fuck, he's doing it. He's doing it. It's like Blue Steel, baby. Like, there it is. Like, he fucking did the move. That is, and here's like the harmony and the symphony of like why Monster Hunter, I think, is one of the best multiplayer experiences, bar none, is when you get everybody riding that high of like, I just got the last piece I needed to build the armor so we can go fight that thing. And then it's like knowing your role. Like, I was always going to be on his face trying to bust up those fucking horns, because I'm a hammer bro. Johnny he got really into the hammer horn. And so like he's doing the horn and like buffing everybody. My cousin would be doing dual blade attacks going up the back of this fucking Deviljoe, which was really cool. And you get into this like flow state of like, fuck, we've been playing this game for a few weeks. We've all finally got our gear. We're locked in. We're healing each other. We're chasing this thing down. We've got an hour timer. We're at like 45 minutes into it. And you get this like fucking accomplishment of, I did it. I learned about it. I actually hunted. I went and I figured out What is attracted to? What should I be doing? How do I camouflage? How do I fight this? And that's the coolest thing about Monster Hunter. Like, and dude, the coolest thing about that is that's the whole fucking game. You get to chase that high over and over again. And to hear that it's bled that much into this feels really exciting to me, because that's my favorite part of Monster Hunter. Like,
Yeah.
Monster Hunter Stories is a really cool RPG game. Like, it feels like Pokemon. It feels like the things I love. But if I get more Monster Hunter on top of keeping that heart, fuck, that's great.
And those previous Monster Hunter Stories games, I'm not saying that you couldn't do similar kinds of things. They were still weapon elements. There was still armor that resisted things, and you could use those things, and you needed to use them a little bit to get some end game stuff. But that was much more about, I feel like, the aesthetics of Monster Hunter. That isn't it cool to have this Rathian armor? Isn't it cool to have this type of sword or this type of hammer? And to have a monster now on your side, isn't that cool that you're doing that stuff? And it was a lot more about those new mechanics that the game was bringing in to make strategy that way. But the way that this has started to, this is again, I need to mention, this was a completely optional thing. I did not have to fight this Devilhoe right now. I probably don't have to fight it at all. To like it probably just won't even come up. Like it might even be like a late game thing to worry about, and maybe not even something to sweat. Or I come back when I'm like level 70 or something, and it's a complete pushover. But this was an optional thing that stuck in my craw, that made me think that's a thing I really want. That's a goal I'm putting out there. That's not the main goal of the video game, but it's a goal I'm making on myself. And what can I do to make this more possible? And being able to build to that in this game, and that this game allows you to do that in the first place, and that this game not only allows you to do it, but encourages and makes the quality of life such that it's easy to do that. You know, I think about like Destiny raids or something like that, where like, hey, we're going into this part of this raid, we're going to need crowd control stuff, like somebody needs to be on like, well, the grenade launcher stuff that has big AoE. You're going to have to, we need some real damage dealers. You're going to have snipers on right now, or rocket launchers, and you're going to have to use these things and figure out when you use your supers. And that, there was some of that in Destiny, but it was also a real pain in the ass, because for most of the time when I played Destiny, I think they've added it since, like that game did not have sets that you could just equip automatically. You would have to go in, and if you had something, if you had the right thing attached to this, or you'd have to like get a whole new gun and have that be like your raid version of the gun, because it had all the right stuff on it. Whereas if you took it into PvP or something, you might want to switch the perks and things on it that it had. And that was a real pain in the ass. And a lot of these games have, you know, yes, you can completely make a set that works for this thing, but then you have to completely trash it and remember it if you ever need it again. That was a problem with Unicorn Overlord. Is like I'd make these really cool sets that would have like, okay, this guy goes to this rule, and then when that rule happens, and then when that rule happens, and they just kind of cascaded down. And then whenever I got to a new type of enemy that was a new challenge, I would have to completely deconstruct. Or what I ended up doing was like taking screenshots on my Switch just so I could remember, okay, that was the set that these people were on beforehand. So when I do this hard challenge, now I can at least go back and rebuild that set that I need for more general purpose play. And the way that Monster Hunter Stories says, yeah, we have sets that you can just kind of equip and make it real easy. That is super cool. And it's also cool that your companions, as you go into more of their side story stuff, they get new weapons. So you can now switch. I can now switch the weapons. Cora has her gun lance, but I can also switch her to a longsword katana if I need to. That has a different element on it. And I think what they're going to do, I think I haven't gotten that far yet, but I imagine that they're going to get a second monster. That's where I could see this going, where it's like, okay, now I can switch it out so Cora can have a water element monster instead of just having the fire element one. I think that's going to happen. I'm not for sure though. But it was like I said, it was the first time where I really felt like, oh, I understand Monster Hunter. I get what all the people who play Monster Hunter like about Monster Hunter. I still hate fucking playing Monster Hunter. I'm not going to
No,
go
you
and play
don't.
Monster Hunter now because I do not like the
No,
way
you
that game
don't.
plays, but I at least can appreciate
You
the
still have
things that you
Worlds, right?
appreciate when you play Monster Hunter.
You still have Monster Hunter World, right?
I do.
Me too.
Not going to happen. I don't like playing that game.
Me too.
It's not going to happen.
Hey, you mentioned
But now I got a
something-
Devilhoe, and I feel great about it.
That's great. GG's. You mentioned something a minute ago that triggered like, hey, I should check in. Like, you really pushed me to play that Unicorn Overlord. And as we're wrapping up here, that game is $20 right now on the Switch. Is that $20 worth spending?
I mean, I think that was a pretty cool game. I ended up having a really good time with it. I think the story stuff is okay. The art is incredible. The strategy stuff. If you end up playing that game, what I would caution / encourage you to do is just, I don't want you to not experiment on your own, but I would want you to feel more comfortable in just looking up a guide and seeing some cool set that somebody else has made, and like knowing what equipment you should put on this person and in what order they should fight, and like all the rules that are on there. And I think when you do that, and at the very least you see how somebody else has built something, it might trigger stuff in your brain to go, oh, what if I use people in this combination now?
Sure.
And so if you end up playing it, and I don't necessarily think you need to, I don't think it's going to be something that is going to stick in your mind forever, and like be some kind of watershed moment for you. But I did end up having a really good time with that game, and seeing how it makes some of those combinations work really tickles your brain in a cool way too, of seeing like, oh, this connects to that, and this does this, and I did huge damage. Holy shit, that's so cool. That a lot of other games don't give you. So it it gets some of my recommendation on that, but it's a weird game that's an acquired taste. So I would understand if you didn't like it. Or
I mean, it's 65% off. I feel like that's a pretty good price to grab it.
That is a pretty good deal.
All right, Chase, enjoy the Devilhoe. I'm proud of you, and enjoy being a monster.
Goddamn right, I will.
Let's talk a little bit about the week. This is it for us. The casual hour is closed for the rest of the week. We were closed at the beginning of the week. You got us while we were open. We're very
grand opening, grand closing.
Yeah, we took Monday off, but there is a bunch of cool games coming out. I think I'll tease it here. I'm leaning towards gambling with Chase on Monday night, so you might get to see some gambling with a raccoon friend. And so we might be doing that on Monday night. But we'll be back playing some games together on Monday, and then we have a deep dive next week, if you can believe it, already. And I'm excited for this one. So Chase is going to be guiding us on a deep dive next Wednesday. Plenty of cool stuff there, and plenty of cool stuff that we have done. I've got a couple new games I can bring up. We'll see what the bandwidth will be for, but lots of fun stuff here at the Casual Hour. Check us out, like, subscribe, listen to our show where it can. And if you need more to do, Chase, the internet darling, has you covered.
I wouldn't call me that, but if you do want to see some other video games being played, I'm playing through Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic right now on my YouTube channel, Chasey K Plays. We are so close, Bobby. We are so close to being done.
Is this your longest one?
No, I played Super Robot Wars X for like 52, 53 episodes. Like, it took me a full fucking year. This is episode 25, I'm pretty sure. So it's long. It's like half a year, but it hasn't been not quite that long. Jesus Christ, I can't talk.
He got it.
But I'm so close. I am in that temple, that last temple. I know the twist that's about to happen. Well, not twist, but I'm going to meet up with an old character at this point, and then I think I'm gonna have a fight with Darth Malak, and so I think maybe next episode is potentially the finale.
All right.
I think I'm really close, so I'm looking forward to that.
Have you announced what you're doing next?
I have not. I'm still not 100% sure myself. I'm like 90% sure what I'm gonna play, but there's a chance that I might call an audible. So who knows? What I do know, though, is that there is a new episode of Pilot Program that is recording next week. We're going to be watching The Pit, and I watched The Pit today, and should not have had lunch right before watching The Pit. That was a bad idea.
It's good though, right?
I can tell that it is made with quality, but it is hard for me to enjoy because of the things that I do not like about medical shows.
That's
and this
fair.
is very much a medical show. But yes, there are things that I like about it. I'm looking forward to talking about it with Pierce, who I don't believe has seen the show before. So I think this is new to both of us, and I'll be interested.
If you were to do for pilot program Netflix's Daredevil, would you still consider Daredevil Born Again, which is the Marvel one? It's weird. Like, it feels like it's a pilot, and like I guess that's the show with two pilots in a way. Do you follow what I'm saying? Like, is that a show that you would do 2 times because it was a Netflix thing, then Marvel took it and it's connected? Like, it's all the same people, but Daredevil Born Again is 100%, in my opinion. Like, it's weird. It carries over some of the story beats, but it's not the same shit. It's just not.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think in that scenario, I think yes, we would probably consider it 2 different shows, and it would be eligible in that way. I will tell you that neither Pierce nor I has much interest in watching a Marvel show right now.
Well, yeah, I'm pulling that down because it's a unique thing where I can't
Sure.
think of anything recently where it's like this is the same fucking shit, but just it's new. It's like a reboot with the same people.
I think that's a fair thing to say. You know, it's on one hand, in a similar way, like is every season premiere of a reality show
A new thing,
kind of its own thing? Like,
sure,
this is like a new cast of Survivor. Like, it's a completely new set of people. Yeah, it's kind of the same show, but like it's a completely different show. Do you count that as a pilot? And we probably would never do season 8 of Survivor or whatever. We would do, if we were going to do Survivor, we'd do the fucking first episode of Survivor. But that is also a very long-running thing in a way that your example is not. So it's tough. I will tell you, with this last one that we did, the last one we did was The Muppet Show. That was a show that it's really hard to pick out what the pilot is of that, because they did a couple of specials before they actually started doing the show. Do those specials count as pilots? Kind of. And then also they made a couple of pilots that went unaired. So they made those things, and then they got reconfigured and put at the end of the first season. So while those are the first episodes in production order, and when you watch the Muppet Show on Disney Plus, they're the ones that show up first because they have the first production order. They're not actually the first ones that were broadcast.
Got it.
Even though they were the first ones that were
Got
made.
it.
And even when they were added to the actual season, other shit was added to them because, you know, it's a sketch show, so they can cut and add sketches as they wish, and they did. So some of the stuff that you see in episode 1 is stuff that's actually from like episode 10 or stuff, or something like that. Like in episode 1 of the Muppet Show, they did not know who Miss Piggy was yet. Like, they had a puppet that was the pig. Like, you can see that's the Miss Piggy puppet, but she didn't have the voice yet. She didn't have the gravitas yet. It was just like one of the other puppets that they had. But then later in that first episode, there is a sketch where she is absolutely doing Miss Piggy, and she, you know, is talking to Kermit in a lovey way, and you go, oh, that's a sketch that they made later in the first season after they did know who Piggy was, but they added it to this episode. And because this episode got thrown on the end, it's this weird quantum Piggy no Piggy episode, and so it was a really fascinating one to end up talking about with Pierce. So that's the one we ended up doing, even though it's not the first thing they made, and it's not the first thing that was broadcast, but it's what we ended up calling the pilot, and it's what Disney Plus calls the pilot too. So if you're gonna go back and watch it, that's probably the first one you end up watching. And that went into our decision. So we've had all sorts of reasons to pick something as the pilot, even when, you know, it's not. And that would be an interesting one for us to talk about. So,
all right. hey, if you like that type of shit, check out Pilot Program. They know their shit. They're good dudes. Pierce has been on our show a few times. If you've ever encountered him there, go hear what Pierce has to say. Hyper intelligent, very in tune with a lot of cool shit. All right, as we said, grand opening, grand closing this week for the Casual Hour. We'll be back on Monday to gamble with a raccoon and then see some cool hardware. But in the meantime, go play Star Wars with Chase or go meet Pierce. A lot of cool stuff to do. We will see you all next week here on the show.